Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the heart of South America, a melting pot of rich culture and extreme diversity in all regards. One of the world's most popular tourist destinations, most visit for its endless beauty of beaches, rainforests, and nearly perfect weather year-round. But behind all of the beauty lies an ongoing struggle of extreme poverty and crime, which is why we're here today, to show you a different side of Rio that most neglect, to exhibit the harsh reality of everyday life outside of the tourist destinations and wealthy areas of the city. Today we embark on a journey into the Rocinha Favela for global awareness, in hope of opening the eyes of the entire world and to create a sense of gratefulness for every asset and blessing that we possess. Because here in Rocinha, residents have it much worse than all of us listening. Rocinha is defined as Little Farm in Portuguese, and it is the largest favela in all of Brazil, located in the south zone of Rio de Janeiro between the districts of Gavea and Sao Conraodo. Coincidentally enough, Gavea and Sao Conraodo are two of the most wealthy districts throughout all of Brazil, and sitting on a hillside right in between this extreme wealth sits one of Brazil's most impoverished districts, Rocinha. There's approximately 200,000 people that are living in this extremely condensed space, making it the most populous favela in all of Brazil. There are roughly 21 neighborhoods within Rocinha, yet the community only occupies an area of approximately 3/4 of a mile squared. With the favela being this absurdly condensed, Rocinha has no other option but to continue building upward rather than outward. Small houses continue to be built directly on top of one another, some complexes reaching 6 to 10 stories high with minimal construction resources or expertise. Most of the homes are built from brick and concrete, increasing the chance of potential collapse. It's believed by locals that it is shockingly safer to live inside of the favela rather than outside of it in Rio de Janeiro. The reason for this being is because the hierarchy of the Rocinha representatives incorporate extremely harsh punishment for any crimes that are committed within the favela properties. Punishment by death is not out of the question for relatively minor crimes such as theft, assault, or racketeering, so citizens tend to be respectful of the private laws, which leads to more obedience and lower crime rates. Rocinha is an independently ran region with zero government control or regulation. The police avoid it like the plague and only enter during dire circumstances. Rocinha is becoming an increasingly popular tourist destination over the past decade. Despite numerous safety warnings from foreign governments and the Rio de Janeiro police, it's estimated between 150 to 600 tourists visit Rocinha per day. In 2017, a Spanish tourist unfortunately died after being shot by the police while visiting Rocinha during a turf war. Rocinha also played a key role on the manufacturing and distribution of cocaine during the 1980s. Famous drug traffickers were part of Rocinha's reputation, and a new subculture associated with the drug trade was born in the 1980s. Rocinha became famous for its baile funks, some of the largest, rowdiest funk parties in the city that many middle-class residents began to frequent as well. There are several factors that led to the rapid expansion of Rio's favela drug trade and criminal factions. One is the Latin effects of the US war on drugs during this era. The growing pressure on the Colombian drug trafficking, in large part funded by the US, caused traffickers to search for new routes and markets, and more cocaine began being transported south of Colombia through Peru and Bolivia and into Brazil, where most was eventually trafficked to Europe or the US. Rocinha was so neglected and feared by the government that it was the perfect location to run a covert/lucrative drug trade operation. In the mid-2000s, Rio de Janeiro was the elected country for the 2014 World Cup and the 2016 Olympics. Knowing Rio would be in the spotlight of millions of people across the world, the Brazilian government decided to take proactive approaches in preparation for two of the biggest events to ever take place in the city. In late 2011, more than 3,000 police and soldiers backed by armored personnel carriers and Huey helicopters swarmed into Rocinha before dawn to catch the favela off guard. With this huge of an infantry, authorities took just 90 minutes to seize control of Rocinha as they tracked down infamous drug dealers and gang members and confiscated a massive amount of drugs and contraband. Some estimates say that Rocinha brings in more than $40 million in drug sales annually. Much of the drugs are sold to tourists staying in the prestigious neighborhoods of Leblon, Ipanema, and Copacabana. With the control and seizure of Rocinha, tourists coming for the future World Cup and future Olympics were in a safer place without easy access to drugs and contact with dangerous individuals coming from Rocinha. But as we all know, law enforcement resources do not come at a cheap cost anywhere in the world. Authorities held their ground for as long as they could up until the World Cup and the Olympics. The control and seizure of Rocinha was short-lived as law enforcement slowly started to depart the area after the two huge events had ended. The Brazilian government primarily cared about disguising the worldwide perception of crime and danger during the time of these two huge events. As soon as the world turned a blind eye and the events were over, the authorities would slowly begin the police withdrawal process of Rocinha. And Rocinha has also been the feature location in a Hollywood film from 2008. Can anybody guess the title? I will spoil it right now. It was from The Incredible Hulk 2. I'm not too big on that franchise or any superhero movies in general. I was kind of hoping more along the lines that Fast 5 was shot here, but that was not the case. It was actually filmed in the Santa Marta favela, not all that far away from Rocinha, but yes, a completely different community. Alright guys, I really hope that you enjoyed my tour and my history lesson of the Rocinha Favela. And if you made it this far, if you could go hit that thumbs up button and smash that subscribe button, I would highly appreciate it. Up until next time guys, obrigado!